Hello and welcome to the Literary Lair. With the Ender's Game movie coming up and the Fault in Our Stars movie on the horizon, let's talk about book adaptations. Hold on. I know what you're thinking. When you hear the word adaptation, you think of your favorite book, short story, novella, play even, being bastardized by Hollywood and TV executives. For the most part, that's true, but sometimes they come through for the fans, which is why I'm here to talk about my top 10 book adaptations. I posed a question on Tumblr back in July asking what my followers' favorite adaptations were, and I got interesting replies. For example, one of them said that they liked the silent film version of the Phantom of the Opera, which just goes to show that you don't need voices to enjoy it, despite all other adaptations of that being musicals. Others ranged from The Princess Bride to The Graduate, which just goes to show that regardless of the time period, sometimes adaptations are good. So, let's get straight to it. Number 10. Number 10 is a tie, but only because they're written by the same author. Yes, I'm referring to the film adaptations of Jumanji and Zathura. While Jumanji is a classic and one of Robin Williams' best next to Bicentennial Man and Aladdin, Zathura was not as good, but it was a fun movie to watch, and the board game they made based on it was kick-ass. It's a children's book, but Jumanji was a great movie, something I'll watch whenever it's on TV. Zathura, it's still a fun guilty pleasure movie for me. Let's get to the next one. Number 9. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I know that Roald Dahl hated this adaptation, but I love it. I'm not sure if it was the music, the way that they portrayed the kids, or just Gene Wilder's acting, but I love this. The Johnny Depp version was okay, but I didn't like the dark surrealness of it, and the music was really lacking. Also, the fact that they ended the Gene Wilder version at the perfect time as opposed to throwing in the extra scenes about Wonka's life, which I didn't particularly like. I don't want to harp on that since I usually agree with the author on stuff like this, but whatever. Let's just get to the next one. Number 8. This one is actually based on a short story, but screw it, it's on the list. Minority Report. While it didn't actually follow the source material, it was a good movie. It was about a police officer in the future where they can predict crimes, and he gets framed for a crime and has to prove his innocence. I enjoyed it, and it gave you something to think about after you finish watching it. I like the story, but I'll admit the movie is better. Maybe that's just because of the acting, which wasn't bad. It was a cool movie, but it was sad, and you sympathized with the main character. And if it can make me do that, it succeeded as an adaptation. And hey, maybe we'll take a look at the short story on this show eventually. Number 7. Big Fish was a weird movie. It was about a guy who always told his son tall tales about his life that his son, now an adult, has a hard time believing. And his dad starts telling all the stories of his life. He tells stories about giant, conjoined twins, werewolf ringmasters played by Danny DeVito, and a utopian town untouched from the rest of the world. In the end, the stories were true.
From a certain point of view.
I haven't actually read the book, but the movie was great, and it seems that it stayed true enough to the source material.
Number 6.
Forrest Gump. Need I say more? It was an enjoyable read and a fantastic movie. It's one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. The movie wasn't a complete adaptation because it rewrote a few parts that, while admittedly worked in the book, I don't think they would have exactly fit into the movie version. But it's a good movie and you really sympathize with Forrest. It's a classic, both the book and the film.
Number 5.
2001: A Space Odyssey is a classic movie. But did you know that it was based off a book? Yeah, and the book was really good, although I like the movie more. It might be the acting. It might just be Hell 9000. I just really liked it, and it's an example on making a movie adaptation correctly. but the movie is definitely helped by how. It made one of the most classic scenes. Would you roll a clip, Iota?
I'm sorry, Michael. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Remind me to tell Mike Sainer to fix your movie quoting matrix.
I'm sorry, Michael. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Yeah, next.
Number 4.
Jurassic Park is one of my favorite movies ever. I saw it as a kid, and it made me nearly go into Brown Alert.
Well, there's no such thing as brown alert, sir.
You won't be saying that in a minute.
It was a pioneer of CGI, and the story was great. They even found a way to do an exposition dump without the audience knowing. Yeah, do you remember that scene where they had the little cartoon about how they cloned the dinosaurs? That wasn't in the book. It was just some exposition that they made into something great. Jurassic Park. It knows how to make you listen to exposition. Number 3. I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of the most famous movie series that was based on a book. Harry Potter is probably one of the best book adaptations there is. Now, I was never a big fan. I read the first 4, but never the rest. But I can't say I wasn't a fan of the movies. They were brilliantly put together, and besides for some inconsistencies in characters, they were amazing. They stayed mostly true, and it was a thrill ride from the first to the last, and that's why it's number 3 on the list.
Number 2.
Lord of the Rings. It was a great series, and the books were amazing. However, the movies surpassed them. I like the movies because the casting rocked. I mean, John Rhys Davies and Ian McKellen. These movies could not have been awesomer. The Hobbit movies, which only one has been released as of the time of this video, was great. And they had Martin Freeman, and the next 2 will have Benedict Cumberbatch as well. All in all, those movies are as great as the books they were based on. And here we are, number 1. What do I pick for it? The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. No, not that one. Get that off the screen right now. Yes, that would be it. But this one is a tie with the Dirk Gently adaptation that had one series back in 2012. Now, the Hitchhiker's Guide adaptation was awesome, and it was not that accurate to the books, but it was a fun watch, and I loved it. As for the Dirk Gently show, I didn't like the first book, but the TV adaptation, as I said in the Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul review, was better by far. And those were my top 10 book adaptations. Did your favorites make the list? I hope so. If not, tell me what adaptations you like, and tune in next time for John Green Month. Say, Mike Sano, have you finished working on Iota yet? Ah, yes. It turns out you were right on the money. It was the movie quoting matrix. Awesome. I was worried that he was about to go completely insane and try to kill me. Good thing you referenced 2001: A Space Odyssey, though. Could have been worse. Could have been quoting The Godfather. Oh, and by the way, I'm working on giving Iota a new shell. This one's pretty flimsy, and it is connected up to the entire room anyway. So I figure a bigger base would probably be better for him. Oh, well, that's good. In there. Ah, here we are. Activate.
It's about time you built this.